Just relax. I can't figure out how to start it. How do I start it?
You're live now.
Oh, we are?
Yeah, we're live.
Oh. It says it's still connecting.
Oh, it's live here.
Sweet. Welcome to NYJ today. This is John, Mike, and our guest tonight is Chad.
Let's do a Jet Chat to start us off.
We do that at the end.
I want to rage though.
All right. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets! We're happy to be talking to you guys tonight on this Wednesday evening. The best time of the season, or best time of the year has started. It's the Jets Super Bowl, the off season.
We can't fail anyone's hearts out there when we're in the off season like this. That Super Bowl's over. We can get past it, everyone. We can get past the Tom Brady being whatever he is. If anyone's seen the video out there, I just saw it. Him tossing the Lombardi Trophy. We'll get to that probably later.
Yep.
But no, I think we can finally move forward and actually start to really get excited about the 2021 season, which is good, because if we could put the 2020 season to bed,
that would feel good.
Oh my God, I want to put all of 2020 to bed.
Yeah, the last season was awful, and I guess everybody's really looking forward to 2021 at this point, and we're just really excited about the draft. We're excited about nothing.
We got a problem in the chat.
Just ignore it.
There's some asshole out there. Your brother says NYJ yesterday, today, tomorrow, and forever is what he says.
That's a nice comment.
What's up, man? Come on over whenever you want. Open door policy over here. Open door policy.
So we're just gonna get it kick started here. We're not gonna waste time. We'll get right into our first topic. So topic 1, and if you are going to be eventually watching, feel free to hit us in the comments. We are going to talk about our current stance on New York Jets ownership. Who wants it first?
I think I'm going to go because it came from my own flesh and blood.
All right, fair enough.
So it's a topic that I think is somewhat coming into the mainstream media as far as, the Jets. Are the Jets in the same boat as a... Now, ownership is something very different, so I'm going to toss some teams out there that I think are in the same boat as us, but are in it for different reasons. But the Washington football clubs, what is Phil?
Just ignore him. Keep going.
Yeah, I'm going to ignore you. The Washington football club, some would say the Cowboys because of how involved their owner is. So ownership becomes an issue for multiple teams, and it is an issue for multiple teams, but for different reasons. Now, for me, the ownership has been building and building for a period of time. And I think that, and I don't want to project on all Jet fans, in which case, for those that are out there, I want to hear from you, obviously, and of course, my fellow co-hosts, which is, I think a lot of Jet fans somewhat are in denial because of the fact we came out of the Leon Hess era. And when we came out of the Leon Hess era, we came into a new generation with a lot of optimism and a lot of a lot of sense of being naive of the fact that, I consider the Leon Hess era a very treacherous time. I think we would all agree to that,
sure.
Right? And so there's a lot of optimism, especially with the early investments that the Woody Johnson family did, and they still do. I don't want to beat that up too bad. I still keep in perspective of what they've done for the franchise, but I do think that they've gotten a pass for a considerable amount of time. I do think that for a long time, there was always that kind of underlying sentiment of, does Woody doesn't really know football, right? And
neither of them do.
Well, let's not even get to Christopher. Let's just talk about Woody for right now. Woody doesn't really know football, nor does an owner have to know football. I mean, the Rooney family, the Kraft family, whatever. But there was always kind of a suspicion: are we really giving everything we got to making the franchise a Super Bowl contender or not? Right. So I think it's kind of sweet justice for me, only for the fact that it's been growing for probably the last 5 years. My suspicions on whether the ownership is really committed to the franchise and committed to the fan base, and this is where I'll be really biased, I feel that our fan base, the Jet fan base, yes, can we really be a bunch of pains in the asses? I definitely
Big
think
time.
we can. I think we tear, we help. I think in some ways we cut our own legs off with how ruthless we are in how we respond to the team and particularly coaches. And I think if you watch that Rich Eisen video out there, I'm telling you, chat, you got to go watch this Rich Eisen video. I don't know. We'll try to get the link out there some way. But he talks about the rapid fire Jet coach hires that were out there from even before Kotite through that period of time into the Eric Mangini phase, into, all the way up to Adam Gase. And it really kind of shows, because I remember being part of those conversations, like, yeah, they got to fire him. Like 2 years later, yeah, got to fire that guy too.
Get him out of here.
Todd Bowles, get him out of here. And I really think that the fan base has really somewhat gave the ownership a pass, when in reality, what we really have been struggling with is bad selections on general managers. Now, I think that, again, Tannenbaum to me is a very interesting conversation because of the 2 back-to-back AFC championship runs, but bad general manager selections, which then trickles down into bad scouting and bad drafting. The Jets are notorious for bad drafting, which is a front office problem. I'm just going to say that. We hold, without a doubt, search anything on Google, the Jets are without a doubt the top team at the worst at drafting.
Bad at drafting. Got it.
So I'm kind of going off on tangents or belaboring the point, but I think the Jet fan base has given them a pass, given the ownership a pass, and I also think that the media has given the ownership a pass, and I'm kind of sweet justice to me, where there's a lot of pressure on Christopher Johnson and now Woody coming back into the picture to kind of say, okay, if you really are not Leon Hess, let's see what you do now that you're not deployed to the UK as some fake ambassador and things of that nature. So I think it's a perfect time to talk about the ownership. I think it is a problem. So let me just make sure I make my point clear, and I'll be keeping my eye on how that goes from this point forward. So
You want to jump?
Yeah, ownership is a problem insofar as we're losing. I mean, we're a losing franchise. Ownership is one of those interesting things where it's arguably the most important thing a franchise can have, and yet it's also arguably one of the most unquantifiable aspects of a franchise.
It really is.
The Johnsons bought the franchise in 2000, and if we're thinking about the successful years since 2000, we're probably looking at 5 years, maybe 6, 5 years out of 20.
We had a good run between 2000 to about 2010.
Right, and I've never particularly seen him as a overly intrusive owner, except for maybe the Tim Tebow deal back in the day. Although that was never really confirmed that was a Woody Johnson.
Oh, it was totally.
Can we pause there though? A successful ride from 2000 2010. Yes, you had the 2 years of Parcells.
Don't overthink it. We made the playoffs basically every other year during that decade.
Okay, all right.
But,
I just wanted to make sure.
But at the end of the day, the owners are judged on the owners are judged on profitability. Correct. In which case, the Johnsons are doing great. The fans are judging on winning and losing. In which case, they're not doing so great. However, I think we all like the Robert Saleh hire, and you can talk about the way that the Jets went about. They came out. They were very transparent. Chris Johnson is very transparent. He comes out and he says, "We're going to cast a wide net." Mm-hmm. And in today's day and age, they're literally posting on Twitter and Facebook who they're interviewing. This is our first round our interview with this guy. It's our second round interview with that guy. They said they were going to do that. They did do that. Years past, you'd have a bunch of leaks to the media. You'd hear about the clown show and the circus and all that kind of stuff, which is still applicable to a degree. But you're not hearing that anymore. Woody Johnson comes back. Ideally, nothing changes too much on that end, and he just lets Joe Douglas run the show.
Yeah.
And that's all you could really hope for. You want to get the franchise back to respectability.
Yeah. So if you're watching right now, we do want to hear from you guys. We see we have some people watching. Please chime in. We currently are talking about our current stance on ownership of the New York Jets. I see we have Straight Fire in the chat. Straight Fire, your koozie is on the way, brother.
Hey, Straight Fire, thanks so much for tuning back in, man. Robbie Oak, also in the chat. Robbie, how's it going? So let's, I just want to touch on, we're going to move past that.
I want to comment, but I want to hear from the chat first.
Yeah. Straight Fire, after 4 years away, he'll try and make a splash. Let's steal those back pages.
I'm gonna get into that in a second.
I was about to say. I think
I've been waiting patiently.
John's about to open that present. So, Robbie Oak, what's up, fellas? What's up, man?
Robbie Oak, cheers, brother.
Joe
Thank you for coming back.
Yeah, let me do that cheers with you. Let's do cheers. We didn't do cheers. Boom, boom. Robbie Oak says, "What's up, fellas? Joe D finally has us on the right track. Woody better stay out of the way." I think you're going to touch on that too because
I'm gonna let Chad finish up. He was still in the mid spiel there. Did you have more you wanted to add?
No, I agree. I agree with him, and yeah, he just really needs to stay out of the way and see if Joe Douglas is all that we think that he is right now.
Yeah. So there are a couple of factors here with the ownership I think we need to all keep in mind. And the first thing is that Woody Johnson coming back is a factor, but hopefully it isn't a factor. He does need to stay back, and I think that's the thing that I would compliment Christopher Johnson on, is he really was he was in those interviews for the head coaches, but he wasn't the decision maker. You know, he didn't have that. He did not make that decision.
But neither him or Woody should be the decision makers.
Right.
It should
be.
Of
course.
Right.
It should always be the general manager. But my point is he finally backed off because he hired Adam Gase. Let's just make that very clear. Mike McCagnon did not want to hire him. Christopher Johnson got the call from Peyton Manning, and he said, you know what? I got to have this guy because I got to talk to Peyton Manning. He said he's such a great coach.
But is there actual reports where...
He absolutely had a hand in that, 100%.
But they never said who Peyton made the call to.
He called the Jets.
Right, they said the Jets.
You really should consider hiring this guy.
I remember the media portraying it was Mike, that he called Mike McCagnon.
It was because Christopher Johnson got all tickled by that. He got so excited because Peyton Manning called.
But you think it was the owner, or do you think there was actual report that you're thinking of where?
I 100% believe that to be the case. That Christopher Johnson heard from Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning glowed about him rather than letting Mike McCagnon do his job, which again would have been terrible anyway.
That's much more believable because everyone always said, and why we thought Mike McCagnon should be fired was. Why did you... I mean, nothing against Peyton Manning, obviously up there in the greatest of all time. But why did you jump off that cliff, right? You know, that kind of thing.
And again, so... I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just going to say that the New York Jets need to continue allowing Joe Douglas to do his job. Mm-hmm. And I think that Christopher Johnson also made a good choice in changing the restructuring of the front office. I think that people made that a really big deal. But I think for the Jets...
But it's BS now.
It's not really BS,
though. It is, because Woody coming back in totally makes that first press conference basically, theoretical at this point. Because that discussion between Joe Douglas and Christopher Johnson was without Woody. Or at least potentially.
Do you really think that Christopher Johnson made that decision and not talked to Woody?
That's a good question.
His brother?
I mean, that's a good question. But let's look at Woody's relationship to Mike Tannenbaum. Was Woody that kind of back seat?
That's not the point. The point is that they restructured the front office. And I think that is what they need to continue doing. I don't want Woody to do what Christopher Johnson did prior to this whole thing being restructured.
I think it really starts back before we really start to lay into our own thoughts. Is what do we think? Again, we're not experts. I'll just say that I'm not an expert. Never been part of an NFL organization, nor do I know what makes a good front office for an NFL organization. But if you were to just give your 2 cents on what you think based on continuous Super Bowl franchises like the Steelers, like the Patriots, what do you think are good qualities of an owner? Should an owner be aggressive like Jerry Jones, or should they be more backseat?
Chad alluded to it. He said a good owner is going to be involved in the money part, making sure the team is making money, the franchise is making money, and they let people who know football do their jobs.
That's right. And to your point, the problem that Jet fans, and it's hard to speak for all Jet fans, but the problem I think Jet fans had with that whole hierarchical structure, was that it was symptomatic of something that an organization would do that's outside the norm. Right? Just like in the Todd Bowles job search or head coaching search, outsourcing that to Korn Ferry, this
they hired the firm,
Yeah.
right, and then it's like, stop doing that.
right.
That's a good point.
Stop this absurd hierarchical structure that nobody has.
Right.
Be a real team. Act like a real team. And that's it wasn't really the structure. I think it was symptomatic of this just absurd style that they had.
Yeah.
And they're finally turning that around. Like, let Joe D run the show, and let it play out on the scoreboard.
I don't have any other comments. I think we touched on it pretty well. I mean, I just feel like it needs to stay the way it was before Woody came back. And I do worry about, like, kind of what Straight Fire said in the chat. I do worry about Woody getting a little bit like, ooh, I'm back in the seat now.
And that's exactly where I was going to go. But before I go there, we have new to me in the chat, CJK saying hi. So let's do a cheers for CJK.
CJK, if
What's
you are
up?
not a subscriber, we hope you are, or we hope you will
Absolutely.
consider. We've been putting out a ton of content on the channel, and actually for all of our watchers right now, we are releasing on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday brand new free agency and draft profiles. So if you are new to the channel, there is a ton of content coming starting tomorrow. It'll be released at noon tomorrow. So
Robbie O coming in on the chat. We think the most successful owner invasively involved in their team's day, or the team's day-to-day, has been Jerry Jones, and how's that been going? So it's a very good point, and I agree 100%. I think an owner's personality, especially combined with the fact if they don't know football, especially on the same level as a general manager, is a very dangerous combination. And for Dallas, and I was a Dallas fan, I would be really worried because not only do you have Jerry, but you have his entire family in that same position. So you have all.
But what's so unfortunate about Jerry is I feel like he does know some football, but he just makes all the calls. And I feel like he has puppets, like Jason Garrett.
Right.
That was a puppet. That dude was his little puppet.
Right. No, 100%. And he lives and dies by his own decisions. And probably, if you were to know Jerry Jones, he probably is a control freak, and that's how he likes it.
Right. And that's the problem with a lot of these owners is they're all billionaires, and they all feel like they can do it.
Well, and that's the thing, that they have done it generally in order to get to that position.
Right, in their
unless
business,
you're the heir, unless you're the grandson of Johnson.
Yeah.
But a lot of times these guys have done it, and then you get to that position, and it's like, well, why would I change now?
If I'm an owner, I'm sure there's an allure to the spotlight because it's very hard to get into the spotlight as an owner. You're kind of seen as this kind of inherited like rich kid into the team, and now you're trying to get into the Super Bowl parade, assuming that your team gets that far. But I could see it being very appealing for an owner to really get more aggressive into getting into the team because that's getting you into that limelight, whatever.
Exactly.
But I would say that if I'm an owner and I didn't have that shallowness to me, okay, I'm really putting myself in a situation I'll never be in. But if I was, I would hope I would be like, I don't want that pressure because I have the perfect situation right now. I can be behind the scenes. I can have the best seat in the house in the skybox. And if it doesn't go well, everyone knows I'm not here to make those football decisions. I hired a general manager. Now, if the general manager is not successful, then that is a reflection on me, and I need to take that into reflection. But there's other things that he could easily pass along as saying, it is Mike Tannenbaum, it is Mike McCagan, it is Joe Douglas, that I see what the fans are seeing, and so fans, I'm making the decision to move in a different direction, and I think the fans would react to that appropriately, rather than what you see with the Washington Football Club with Snyder, rather than what you see with Dallas. Although Dallas fans seem to like Jerry Jones, I don't ever see.
I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'm making a real big reach there, but I will say that I think to where I wanted to get to is I think towards the end, especially on the end of the Rex era, I saw Woody becoming more kind of a more prominent figure in terms of giving his opinion and things like that. I think Rex really facilitated that. I don't know, Chad, if you would agree, but Rex really brought out a lot of emotion, not just out of the team, but out of the front office as well. And I'm wondering what Woody Johnson comes back. Are we talking about the Woody Johnson that knew the Rex era, or are we talking about Woody Johnson who's going to settle back into what the owner's role should be?
Well, that's what we're going to have to wait and see on. I would like to segue into our next topic. We are going to move on to the draft. It is the off season after all, so we're going to be talking about wide receivers that we are in love with in this NFL draft. So if you guys have a favorite wide receiver in the NFL draft, or a receiver that you feel like maybe
Gotta get my notes.
not necessarily a favorite amongst everybody. Like we know Jamar Chase, we know Devonta Smith. So if you've got a guy that isn't one of those two, we would love to hear from you in the chat. Let us know who you guys like in the draft at the wide receiver position. I still feel like that's a position of need. We have Denzel Mims. We have Jamison Crowder. What else do we have? We don't have a whole lot. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Is that okay if I take the lead on this one?
Because John's going to go first because me and Chad are going to go for the buzzer and who can say the name first. So we'll let John go first.
So
I got it. Oh, we got a comment. I don't know if you want to.
You can go to that first. That's fine.
All right,
straight fire.
Straight fire. How do you see that relationship working out? Woody didn't hire Joe, so does he really take a step back and let him run the show, or can you see him stepping in? That's a really good point, to be honest.
This is the whole concern that
John
we all
doesn't really
have.
like to go backwards. He's more of a I've moved on type of thing, but I do like Straight Fire's. He followed up with a second here. I truly think. Oh, okay, Straight Fire, I'm going to hold your second comment because that's for the new topic. Do you want to go back and address Straight Fire's comment on the owner thing?
We touched on it. He's just adding. Did you read the whole thing?
He touches on a wide receiver that he likes.
No. The Woody Johnson comment. He was just adding his 2 cents.
Oh, I think it's an interesting point, which is, Woody. This is where you say that Woody was involved in all that, but I like Straight Fire's point, which is how do you see that relationship working out when Woody didn't hire Joe? So does he really take a step back, or does he kind of say, brother, you didn't know what the hell you're doing, so Big Brother's back. I think Woody's older, right?
Yeah, Woody's older.
Big Brother's back. It's my show. It's my team.
I sure as shit hope not.
If we don't know that Woody is back, I think that's a good thing.
He's back, and they actually listed it on the official website. Chairman, Woody Johnson. Assistant, or whatever assistant chairman is.
And if that's all we hear of it, then that's as good as I'm.
All right, so I'm going to start the wide receivers in the draft comment. We'll go to Straight Fire in just a minute. So my wide receiver that I'm going to talk about tonight is Kadarius Toney out of Florida, 6 foot, 193 pound wide receiver.
Too short.
I watched not all of his tape. I watched a ton of his tape this past week in preparation for the show. So I have a free agent profile on Curtis Samuel, who is this kind of like a jack-of-all-trade wide receiver. He can line up on the outside, can line up in the slot. He can take those jet sweeps and reverses. He can do things out of the backfield. And we can get somebody way cheaper in the draft, and his name is Kadarius Toney. He fills all of those abilities, all of those roles. He can do all of the running game stuff. He lined up at running back in college football. He was a receiver in college football. 70 receptions for over 980 yards in his senior year of college football.
Right.
And the running production was there all 4 years, freshman to senior year. The only thing with Kadarius is he didn't produce at a high level like he did his senior year all the other years. He's kind of like, not necessarily a one-year wonder, because I think a lot of that had to do with he was just more of a role player on the team. But Kadarius is not, so like his speed, like a lot of people will point out that he's not the fastest wide receiver, but that's not necessarily his game. He's not a Tyreek Hill.
Right.
When I watched him, I thought a lot of Steve Smith. And Steve Smith's shorter than he is. Very, very elusive. If you watch the tape, and again, if anybody watches the stream, and anybody who's watching it live right now, go put on some Kadarius Toney and watch his highlights. You're gonna see a dude all over the field. Mm-hmm. And again, in my video that's coming out this week, he lined up on the outside versus Alabama,
right,
and beat their cornerback on a deep route. I mean, he can line up anywhere. He can do everything. He's not just like those one-trick pony kind of guys where they do the wide receiver screens, the running game stuff. He does everything.
But does he have the physicality for the NFL?
It's literally in my video. So in my video, I talk about that. So I even referred back to Santana Moss in the video. I called back on him, and people used to go crazy over Santana Moss because he used to always skip out of bounds on his punt returns. He would just kind of run out of bounds real quick. And I noted in my video of Kadarius Toney, he is always always physical with the ball. He's always looking to make contact. He lowers his shoulder before going out of bounds. Very physical. And after the catch, he is fucking terrifying.
Scary.
Terrifying. There's a play where he caught a wide receiver screen, and he's running up. It's in the red zone, and so there's like everybody, all the defenders are everywhere. And he runs into like 2 or 3 guys, was able to break the tackle, but there's like all these fucking dudes around him.
Right.
And he finds his way into the end zone. It's just amazing to watch. So, you know, I'm selfishly pumping up my own video here, but again, if you want to see who he is, watch the video.
Check out John's video is what he's saying.
Check out the video, and if you don't want to watch my video, that's totally fine. Go put up some highlights.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney would be an outstanding pick at 23 if we don't take a wide receiver early in the first round.
Okay.
I would love that pick.
That's what I was going to ask. Where would he be?
So if he's not at 23, you could probably get him at 34. I don't know, though, because some teams I feel like are going to salivate at his versatility.
Right.
So I don't know. It really depends. I would say if you want a wide receiver, and we need one, I feel like he would be the perfect complement to Denzel Mims, who's kind of like the physical receiver, go up and get it kind of guy. Mm-hmm. He's not really a shifty dude. He's more of a tall guy who can go up and get it. We've got Jameson in the slot.
Right.
Put this dude on the outside. You can kind of interchange Jameson and him in the slot. You can put Kadarius in the running back position on plays.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all kinds of crazy shit you could do with these 3 receivers, and I just love the idea of having all 3. So anyway, that's Kadarius Toney. If you want to comment on what I commented, but you're more than welcome to.
I'll go watch the video.
You should.
You fucking should. But knowing what knowing the offensive scheme, most likely we're going to run next year. Do you feel that the scheme
yes.
fit? Okay.
He's like Deebo Samuel from the 49ers. He can run those jet sweeps. He's really good after the catch. He is a perfect fit for the scheme.
Got it.
Perfect.
Great.
So when I'm thinking about scheme fit, and I was looking at it's we don't know what we're going to see until September comes around, but we have to assume that Mike LaFleur is going to bring some sentiment of the Shanahan offense.
He is going to,
right? Mm-hmm. And I don't claim to know. I don't claim to be an expert, but from what I've seen so far, we can expect some inside and outside zone runs, some bunch formation. So whoever this wide receiver is going to have to be a physical player who can get separation and can help out in the running game.
Yes.
So naturally, and I think we're thinking along the same lines, we're going for size and we're going for physicality here. And with a realistic pick, quite possibly in the second round, I'm going with Terrace Marshall Jr. out of LSU.
That's my pick!
Listed at anywhere. I've seen him listed at 6'3" and 6'4", 200 pounds. But for me, this is a guy that's reminiscent of Brandon Marshall 2015, maybe Braylon Edwards, but more physical than Braylon Edwards.
Much more physical.
Right. A guy who can box out a defender.
Right.
Okay, like a basketball player, box out a defender, get open deep down the middle of the field. Put him in a bunch formation with Jameson and with Braxton Berrios, and watch mismatches happen.
I want Braxton to be our fifth wide receiver.
you can have the speed, but look at what Tampa did to Tyreek. Now Tyreek had a couple opportunities, so I don't want to take that away. But having a physical receiver, and not necessarily a go up and get it receiver, but I'm just talking about a physical receiver who can create separation without the play calling be 100% perfect.
Sure, that's fair. Not scheming him open.
Yeah, there is something to say about that. And Megatron did it for many years. Well, should have been doing it for more years than he did. But there's many receivers that we can think of. There is something to say about that. Now, is that 100% consistent all the time compared to, a receiver who's really in tune with the scheme? And that also means that your quarterback has to be as well. So there is that give and take that you have there. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Chad. But
you both are sharing them, so
I'm all over it. I mean, I think.
Have you watched any of his video? What do you see other than the physicality? What do you see that
he attacks the ball at the high point.
The awareness too.
Yeah.
The awareness is by far.
And he goes up and attacks the ball at the high point.
I'm gonna sit really close. We're like a two-headed monster.
And honestly, that's what because when you see a guy, unless they're a freak, and he would be a first rounder if he had the kind of speed. So he's not going to separate on the field. He's going to separate on the field with his physicality.
size,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Now, I will say, well, first I need to say one thing. Robbie Oak says, Chad looks thirsty. He said, so I think you need to take a sip.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm done.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Oh, you want another one? I got
Sure,
it.
yeah.
I got some M&Ms for you.
Yeah,
All
the
right.
show is brought to you
We
by...
I want to say something real quick.
Terrence Mitchell?
On
What's his name?
Terrence Marshall.
Marshall, sorry. I have not
I
watched his
think
tape.
against Terrence Marshall it's very easy. So one could say, Chad, right? One could say that Terrence is somewhat getting some distance for the fact that there is another receiver on LSU getting a lot of attention.
Fair enough, yes. Jamar Chase.
And that is something to say. There is an argument out there. So if Chad, you were gonna hang the two-headed monster that's happening here, I understand that it's easier to get separation and easier to get isolation when you have another receiver out there that's dominating on a daily basis.
Sure, but he's not used to being a star, and
Right.
no rookie wide receiver is going to come in
No.
and really
And
be a
that's
star
right.
away.
It's a really easy pickup for the Jets because I think where do you have Terrence falling down to?
I
He
think
said
34.
second
I
round.
think
Oh,
34
yeah.
is really
I think I could see him in the third, to be honest with you.
yeah,
It's
well, that
possible.
would be his-
It's
yeah.
very possible. I don't know. Well, I have the rank. I had some receivers written down as far as the list goes, but I don't know.
Your brother's in the chat.
That's good for him. Why don't, there's a bunch of messages. Why don't you go to them and then we can continue on Terrence?
Yeah, well, Brandon Snyder says, get Chad a beer. I think that's your brother, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey, man, what's going on? There's a couple up here. Robbie Oak agreed with your comments.
Of what, Tony?
Of Tony.
What did he say? I want to hear it.
That's the one I target. What else can I tell you? Let's see. He also likes Darden. He's fascinating.
Who?
Jalen.
Jalen Darden?
Yeah. I don't know if he's talking to the chat. I'm not sure what's going on.
All right,
there.
go ahead. I
Let's
thought I
see.
saw Waddell in the chat at one point. Jalen Waddell.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Straight Fire put that up there.
Read what he says.
I truly think that he will be spectacular, game-changing speed. However, they can't draft him.
They can't?
They cannot. Yes.
Why can't they? Did he say that? They can't draft
They
Waddell?
can't draft him.
Straight Fire, come in the chat. I want to hear why we cannot draft Jalen Waddell because I guess maybe you're referring to maybe his injuries. I don't know if that's the concern.
Unless he's saying he won't be available.
Yeah, I mean that could be. I mean,
We could move around the board. It's possible.
He's a first-round pick, I would imagine.
But do you realistically, I mean, all things considered, let's say we run back with Sam. I know that's not the topic of this, but are we taking a wide receiver at number 2? Is there?
No, I don't think
I'd
so.
take Penny Sewell.
I don't think Joe Douglas would
Watch
do
my
that.
video.
Neither do I. Don't think any.
You
No.
don't have a video.
I
about
do
Penei
that. It's
Sewell.
upload. It's scheduled to upload.
Okay. I didn't know.
I don't want to speak for him. That's probably what he's saying. There's no way if this guy's not available at 2, we're not taking a wide receiver at 2.
I don't think so. I think if
I don't
they're
think
going to
I'd
take a
take
receiver high, they will trade back from 2 with obviously keeping Sam.
Right.
Or the other option is they trade up from 23. I mean, there's all kinds of flexibility. When you have 2 picks in the first round that are spread apart,
But would you really want Jalen at 23?
that's not what I said. I said they could trade up for him if they felt like, because that's what Straight Fire may be insinuating, is that he might not be available at 23.
Well, I'm just saying, even at 23, would you want Jalen at 23?
What did he say?
Straight Fire says unless they trade down, he won't be available at 23.
Who's Joe?
Joe Corsello, what's up, man? First time seeing you in the chat.
Hey, Joe,
Big
welcome
thank you.
to the stream, man. Thank you so much for
NYJ
tuning in.
Ownership welcomes you. Chat, welcome Joe Corsello. What's up, guys? It's good to see you, man. Hopefully you subscribe.
Yeah, please
Watch
consider
the
subscribing.
videos.
Yeah. So, Joe, we have 4 videos starting tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There's going to be 2 free agent videos, 2 draft profiles. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing.
He's like shitting on me about all these videos, but I got some videos too going
What
out.
did Straight Fire say about Waddell?
Uh,
He said he didn't think he'd be there at 23.
yeah, he didn't think he was going to be there.
So Straight Fire, I will say this: we don't know for sure what's going to happen because there's a couple of receivers ahead of him in the draft, and not every team is going to be targeting wide receivers. So it's not the same wide receiver class that we saw last year, where it was just completely stacked.
I don't know if I want a wide receiver in the first round. Is that bad?
Yes.
Is that bad?
Yes.
We need receivers.
We need a receiver.
But I don't know if I like Waddle in the first round.
If we sign somebody like Allen Robinson, then we won't be.
Right.
If we sign somebody like Curtis Samuel, we won't be.
Right. It's entirely too dependent on what happens prior to 20.
And we're only speculating right now. We're only just talking about draft prospects in the
That's a good
idea
point.
that they may be a target.
Right.
Touche.
What was Joe's second comment, and then we'll move on.
Joe Corsello subbed. That's a cheers for sure.
My man.
Hey!
Oh, we got to chug for that, I think.
You want to chug it? All right.
Joe, we're chugging for you, bro.
To you, Joe. I'll do it all day.
We have
Can't wait.
Marshall. Any other comments?
I had some others on here.
Oh, your other wide receivers?
Yeah, I have a couple others.
I mean, I have a couple others too, but I don't want to pound this topic to death.
Why would you say this? Between Jamar Chase and Waddle, who do you?
Jamar Chase.
Right.
Jamar Chase.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, all right. So I'll throw my 2 cents out there because I have been studying this. I'm a little bit worried, and Chad, I would like to hear what you think. Devonta Smith, we know he's super talented. And maybe I'm an asshole for thinking this way. He looks too skinny. He looks too skinny to play in the NFL. And I know Robbie Anderson was skinny.
Yeah, he was like a.
He looks
board.
skinnier than Robbie Anderson. He is rail
Think of
thin.
another receiver who was skinnier than
Well,
Robbie Anderson?
I mean,
Devonta Smith is his name. He's skinnier.
Well,
Go ahead.
it's all left up to chance. I mean, we all thought that
Stephen
Robbie
Hill was
Anderson was going to take a hit at any moment and just get like broken in half.
But he never did.
And it never happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's
That's the
obviously
argument I hear.
it's a different position, but that hasn't happened with Lamar Jackson either. You know, obviously a totally different situation. But when you see talent like him, can you pass him up because he's too skinny? I don't know. He's also very young. He's very young.
Well, there is something to say about NFL being physically ready for the NFL. Like,
Yeah.
there are some clear examples where, I mean, it was never only their physical makeup. It was usually combined with lack of play awareness and things like that. But there is something to say about whether the body type can withstand longevity for the NFL.
So, again, he's my number 2 wide receiver, and that's not a discredit to him because he's super talented, and I don't mean to be a douchebag to say that, but Jamar Chase is my number 1 guy. Yeah. I'm going to go get another beer.
Joe Corsello, he says Jalen will be gone because of his return ability. Joe thinks that
We could use a
we need O-line. Penei Sewell.
Who said O-line?
Joe, man. O-line, edge rusher, corner, etc. And then he says cheers. Cheers, Joe. Appreciate it. I agree. I think O-line's a top priority for me, regardless of whether we run it back with Sam or whether we pursue a free agent, which I'm going to talk about when we get to it.
We got free agency topic.
Let's talk about it.
Let's head to topic 3. So that is our next topic, actually, and it's a good little segue here. So we are going to bring up free agency discussion. So topic 3 is not necessarily all about player. I mean, it is the players, but I also want to talk about. Let's forget about the draft for a second. What do you want them to target, or what players do you want them to target so they don't have to target them in the draft? We talked about not wanting to take a wide receiver in the first round. Hold on a second, Jesus. If you don't want them to take a wide receiver in the draft, I'm assuming you want somebody in the free agency market, right? As a receiver? Because they need more receivers. You can't just completely ignore the position.
No, that's not what I really meant. Like, there's 2 positions where I feel like, and I understand, Chad, you're going to tear me to pieces, so I'm ready! And that's the fact that I was about to say that I think there's 2 positions I think that you would want to go young and see how they develop and somewhat do a shotgun approach, and that's running back, coming off the fact that we have Old Man Rivers, who ran the ball for us.
We're talking about free agency, though, right?
I'm saying before you asked me, okay, if you don't want Jalen or if you don't want to receive in the first round, then you must want a free agent. And then what I'm saying is that's not necessarily true. What I'm saying is, I know absolutely wide receiver was a big issue for us, and is a big part of the reason why people think we are going to run it back with Sam, because Sam didn't have the right crowd around him or the right supporting cast. I think me and John, Chad, I don't know what your thoughts are.
We're going to get on that. That's our 4th topic.
But what I will say is I do like taking chances in those 2 positions, being running back and wide receiver. And I also understand that that's somewhat hypocritical because that's what we have been doing. We haven't gotten shit from it. But what I will say is, I guess what I'm saying is, we need a lot of things with those 2 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that wide receiver isn't a top priority, but what I am saying is I see other things that I think I think I wouldn't mind picking out wide receivers in free agency or in the later rounds.
Sure.
Because I don't think that even if we had Julio Jones, I don't think that would have made a big difference for us for the 2020 season. That's just me. I understand, Chad, if you want to light me up about it, totally get it. But I think there's other things on my list of what I would target.
Let me slow your roll just a little bit.
Okay.
Let's gear towards free agency. What positions? It doesn't have to be player names right now. If you want to throw player names out there, that's totally fine. But what positions do you want them to attack in free agency so they don't have to do it during the draft? That's the conversation.
Because for me, I'm consumed. The free agency market's consumed.
You're up, buddy. You're first.
Sure. So this team has been either near last or dead last in offense for the past several years in an offensive-driven league. We're all right, and we're all old enough to remember. And I'm not drawing a comparison. So because this guy just made the Hall of Fame 3 years ago, or 3 nights ago. But you remember when Alan Faneca was signed? And at the time, Alan Faneca was signed. I think he was probably 31, 32 when he was signed.
Correct.
But he came in, and it was night and day.
Immediate impact.
Who can remember who he replaced?
Right. Adrian Clark. Was it Adrian Clark?
I think you're right. I think it was Clark.
So, and I'm not saying he's Alan Faneca. And this guy's going to drive a high market value. But you bring in Joe Thuney, you sit him, you slide Alex
Lewis. I think he's going to get cut.
Well, either way. You slide Alex Lewis to the right side, or you cut him. You put him next to Mekhi Becton, and let that relationship develop. This guy is going to be somebody who is a veteran, proven leader, which you need on the offensive line, especially if you're going to come in and run zone blocking schemes next season, zone running schemes. Now,
he fits that.
Right. So now you need a veteran who's going to come in and teach everybody how it's done, and then orchestrate. When you're doing zone blocking, zone running, you got 5 guys have to be acting in unison the whole time. It makes too much sense. You gotta break the bank and do what you can to bring him in.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that at all.
But I could only add to it.
Sure.
Which is bringing in a veteran, high performing O-line, or just anywhere, wherever you want to put him, center, whatever, and also putting Penei Sewell with that. Because you have the
that's
Mount
overboard.
I don't think so.
It is. It's overboard.
But if a quarterback doesn't, if a quarterback in free agency doesn't manifest itself, why wouldn't you want? You're investing in whatever comes our way for 2022. Anyway, let me get to the chat because we got a lot of stuff going on in the chat. So I'm going to use this time just to pause real quick.
That's fine. I like that you're doing that.
I'm going to go back up to Joe because Joe put a comment in there. I'd go interior O-line personally. I feel that Sewell would be a mistake.
Yeah.
He said what? What is
he thinks Penei would be a mistake.
Yes, I agree. So Mike is definitely on board with the Penei Sewell pick, and I will disagree with him all the way till the draft. You don't draft a right tackle at number 2 overall. You don't trade back and draft a right tackle at number 2 overall. More power to you. I disagree with you. Respectfully, I disagree. I don't think that Joe Douglas will do that. He loves offensive linemen. But he's not going to over-invest in offensive line for the rest of the team to be shit.
I mean, okay. I understand where you're coming from. I understand completely. I see it more as an investment into...
It is good to invest in the O-line, but you can't over-invest. We'll then have 2 first-round picks, 2 players in the top 11 that were drafted that will have to be re-signed eventually.
Right. And if Becton wasn't in the picture, it would be a no-brainer.
Yes.
But what that allows us to do is to be a viable seller for that number 2 pick. Because we don't necessarily want to do it because we have Becton, although I'm not going to put this out there, but I'm a little bit concerned about his injury.
Yeah, he's been banged up, yeah.
But other teams are going to want to join, are going to want to go up to that number 2 spot and at least talk to us because Penei Sewell is going to drive a
Penei Sewell or Justin Fields or Zach Wilson. If we decide to keep Sam Darnold, it does. I think it increases the value of the 2 pick having it.
Sure.
If we make a pick at 2, it's good still, but I think if we decide to keep Sam, the value of it increases a lot.
I understand the comments. I also understand the trade value of the number 2 pick. But as Chad brought up, some of the best times we had was when we had complete security in the front line.
Yes.
And I think that
and he's
whether it's
suggesting
Penei, and whether it's Penei or whether we get those resources in the free agency, investing in that O-line, whether Sam plays 1 year or 2 years, most likely only play one more year.
If
But
at
whatever
all.
happens up, we're gonna have someone behind that center, someone new behind that center. And I don't want to hear the same type of scapegoat kind of comments that are
I
coming
like
out
that,
of
and I
camp.
appreciate that. You don't
So-
want to hear about the excuses.
I don't. And I also want it also, not to say that Becton's injury was due to the fact that the rest of the line was crap, but I do think there's some security there, knowing that there's others watching his back.
Most teams don't have 5 stars at offensive line. They'll usually have 2 to 3 like studs, and then they will compensate for the other side of the line with tight ends, running backs, chip blocking, that sort of thing.
Well, we did have one of the best lines in the fact that we had Faneca,
Yes,
Brickashaw.
yes, we had the best left. We were the best
Mangold.
running team in football that year.
Damian Woody.
Damian Woody was a
the other one,
stud, right
that's right.
tackle, yes.
So let's get through these comments real quick. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
No, it's okay. We haven't really hit on the free agency yet.
Robbie Oak, free agent Joe Thuney, and Sheriff. If I'm
Sheriff, yep.
Sure, yeah.
Yep, both of them would be just as good, I think. I think you could make an argument for both being on equal footing, I would say.
Straight fire, hands down. Get Thuney in free agency. Our guards were horrible.
Bad.
Robbie Oak, Curtis Samuel as third free agent. Joe Corsello, center of our line was a rotating door dumpster fire. Definitely grabbed
said that?
Thuney. Joe Corsello.
So Joe Corsello, I will say, at the beginning of the year, it was bad. His name is evading me. Denver Broncos. Connor McGovern struggled at the beginning of the year, and I think later in the season he started to kick it on a little bit and had to sync up with the rest of the offensive line. And you just have to keep in mind that who he was playing next to.
Yeah.
The guard position was terrible last year, and we already mentioned that already. I think Connor McGovern actually is an average to above average center. I think that with a better guard next to him, it will benefit him dramatically.
Right. So Joe makes one comment, which was the top of my list for free agency, outside the quarterback, is Chris Godwin.
Okay.
I mean, when you talk about the receiver role, and do we spend the first round pick on a receiver, I would take Chris Godwin over the top picks, over the receivers we talked about. So I know that Chris Godwin brings a different type of receiving, a different type of
He's great. I don't think he's going to come available. I think the Bucs will do what they can to keep him because they want to keep Brady happy.
Arians came out today and said, "You're not going anywhere."
Right. Yep. I don't see.
Did he make that announcement?
Yeah. Well, he was.
He can say all of that, but the fact of the matter is they're not going to let him go. I don't see Chris Godwin hitting the market. I think the more likely scenario would be we go after hard on Joe Thuney, which I'm all on board with that, and then we need to kind of go down the tiers, I guess, a little bit, and not go after somebody like Allen Robinson. We're not going to hit Allen Robinson and Joe Thuney. That's not going to happen.
Right. This is not, and that's the thing, and I'm not even sure that I would want that. This is not going to be a 2007 offseason again.
Right.
Where you're bringing in Alan Faneca and Damian Woody and
We have the
You're not
cap
going to
space
blow
for
your
it, though.
load,
and
essentially.
Chris Jenkins and
Yeah.
and then you've got a great next year and then everybody's gone.
Right.
So really the question is, are you going to break the bank on a Joe Thuney, or are you going to go out for a Godwin or a Juju Smith-Schuster or something like that?
I think and that's the thing, that's what I love about this conversation is what they decide to do, whoever they decide to go big in on, because I think they'll do that for one position.
Yeah.
It'll be either receiver or guard. And then at 23, we have that beautiful flexibility. There's going to be guards available at that pick.
So let's get the elephant out of the
Receivers
room.
available.
Let's get
Receivers, yes.
Yeah.
Let's get the elephant out of the room. When we talk about going big, receiver, guard, quarterback.
As far as needs?
As far as if you're going to go big, it really will bring to light, bring to boil, bring to a head. Do we run it back with Sam?
That's a different conversation. We're still talking free agency right now.
But I'm talking about free agency.
They're not going to sign somebody in free agency.
For a quarterback?
Dak Prescott's not going to be available. Let that dream go. It's over.
Sam and Wentz, what do you think?
Wentz is a trade, and they're not going to trade for Wentz.
Okay.
I don't think Joe Douglas would potentially take that risk.
Is Deshaun officially off the market? Did they say? We haven't heard anything, have we?
No, we've heard stuff. So the Texans have taken the stance that he is going to be a Houston Texan.
Okay.
As they continue to fire people within the organization. They just lost somebody today, a trainer, I believe. who's been there since they got into the league again.
Yeah.
So the only thing that we've heard is that they're going to take a hardline stance. They're going to keep Deshaun Watson. And then there was a report today by a reporter for the Houston Texans for the last 40 years or whatever, or Houston football, I should say.
Yeah.
They're the only team that they would consider trading Deshaun Watson to would be the Jets. That report came out today. But that could be phony baloney.
There is one free agent quarterback, and you guys are going to think I'm insane, that I would bring on board, and everybody's going to call me crazy, but this is only if we either stick with Stam or draft a rookie, and that's Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think you bring back... Yes, and I'll tell you why. I'll tell
Chad,
you why.
get out of this place!
Because
get out!
You're obviously not bringing this guy
let him
back.
finish
He stole money from us.
Let him finish his thought.
I don't want to hear it.
You can disagree with him after.
The guy's been in the league for 183 years. You watch him with Tua last year. You watch him teaching Tua. Look at Sam when he had a veteran guy.
Check the chat.
Look at Sam when he had a veteran guy. Somebody to help him through, somebody to explain the situations, and maybe Sam needs that again, or maybe Justin Fields needs that, right? Or the kid from BYU or whoever else. You need that veteran quarterback as another coach on the field.
We need a thief.
I don't hate needing a backup quarterback.
What's done is done.
I don't think he'll come back.
He's a big crime.
I will say this. I don't think he'll come back. I don't think that he would want to, and I don't think that the Jets would want to. Having said that, though, even if it's not Ryan Fitzpatrick, you can get somebody in that mold that's been playing for a while.
Right.
They do need to address the backup quarterback position. Because whoever it is, Sam Darnold, who needs immediate resuscitation, or a draft pick who needs developing, absolutely. You got chat?
We got a lot of chat to make up.
You're not going to get all of them, but go ahead and hit as many as you can.
I just want to say I don't want Fitzpatrick. I think Chad makes good points.
You can disagree with
that.
I disagree
that
with that
asshole stole money from us.
He did.
Yeah, with his goofy ass beard, and then left. So
excuse me.
Yours is beautiful. His is nice.
All right,
I'm talking about Fitzpatrick. It looks like he should be scraping garbage out of a garbage can. I'm going to try to get through these chats. Everyone, those in chat,
yes, thank you so much for chatting, guys. We really do appreciate it.
I mean, we would still be doing this bantering if you guys weren't here because we're that passionate. But having you guys here it is the highlight of my week.
It is a lot of fun. Yes, we enjoy this very much.
Let's see if we can do some rapid fire here. So Rabio, Jamal Williams from Green Bay. If the price is right.
Yes.
Joe Corsello loves that idea. We draft another guard, hopefully in the top 2 rounds. I'm trying to
Wyatt Davis.
I target Asante Samuel in the 2nd round. They desperately need a corner. I'm trying to. Some of the chat's talking to themselves, so it's hard to kind of pick through.
You just got to pick through.
Some are saying right tackle.
Taylor Moton from the Carolina Panthers is available potentially, and he's young and he's average or above average right tackle. That would be a great signing.
I know that we haven't switched to the defensive side of free agency.
We have not talked about it.
We haven't
but
yet. That's a good point.
If we were going to talk about that, should we not mention Marcus May?
Well, let me go through this chat.
We can talk about him next.
Smith-Schuster, a lot of fanfare for
you guys say the name. Who's saying that?
Straight Fire, Joe Corsello.
He wants...
Robbie Oaks, straight fire, but Texans today said that they are going to franchise Fuller, so there's some...
Yep, they did say that.
Yeah. Michelle Mastandre, absolutely, Sam needs to go while someone still thinks he has some value. I agree with Michelle. I think if we can get a good talent in behind center, I think that's worth it. Robbie Oak, you right. The more I know, I don't know. Whatever Joe D says is what I want. So I think, Robbie, that was something you preached last week, which is Joe D knows best, and I agree with you. Jason Rose, no. Fitzpatrick 2.0 is a hell no.
Yeah.
Joe Corsello, Fitz. God, no! Joe Corsello, I could see them picking up Beathard?
Beathard. CJ Beathard from the 49ers.
Thank you. And we're up to speed. We're up to date.
So,
Chad, I'm never gonna forget you. Never.
Again, if you're new here, please do consider subscribing. We would love to have you guys in our chats every week. We enjoy doing this with you guys, and we try to involve you as much as we can in the conversation.
we set the record tonight. We, for a brief second, got to 19 viewers. 19
That's
viewers.
great. Yep, every week it's going up. Do you want to talk about Marcus May?
Yeah, I don't think we can realistically talk about free agency this year and the defensive side of the ball without considering Marcus May. I thought he came in last year and he stepped up in the absence of Jamal Adams, whose jersey I deeply regret buying.
Wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that was a huge mistake.
Gotta go throwbacks, guys.
Yeah.
If you're watching the channel right now, get throwback jerseys.
Unless you're Jacksonville, and then you are okay to get Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
You don't have throwbacks to buy.
No, I think Marcus May is a quiet leader on the team. I don't know what his asking price is going to be, but I think if it's reasonable, you have to consider bringing Marcus May back.
I think more than like $10 million a year.
That defense needs veteran leadership, and and he doesn't talk. He's not a Jamal Adams.
Yeah.
But I think he's absolutely worth bringing back.
We got Jonathan back. Jonathan,
Oh,
welcome back, my friend.
Yeah, no, and I don't think we did this, so that's a flaw in us. So Chad is, for those who have been in the chat for the last couple of weeks, if you would have known CPS 216 NYJ, you will know Chad because they are one and the same. So that's a little background on our guest star today. So Jonathan 122469. If I know you by another name, I'll keep that in mind. Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, or Kenny Galladay. We have to get one of these guys. Joe Corsello,
Brandon Scherf.
Brandon Scherf. The rest is
Chat
on chat. So,
all right. So we talked about guard, wide receiver, free agency. I'm in the favor of signing a guard in free agency, and if Thuney, he just says no thanks, I think we can pivot from there and get a receiver. It's going to be either a Robinson, Allen Robinson, or Curtis Samuel.
Can we do something real quick just to kind of, for those, it looks like we got some new people coming into chat.
Sure.
The top position that you think they should go after in free agency and your runner-up. And why don't we go with you first, John? We'll go this
player
way.
in free agency.
Top position. Not player. Position.
All right, we did talk about that earlier, and I was the one that kind of framed it that way. So my top position actually is wide receiver.
Okay.
Because like Chad had alluded to earlier, wide receivers don't necessarily, even when they're drafted in the first round, typically they need time to develop. Mm-hmm. I'm much more comfortable signing somebody like a Curtis Samuel or a Allen Robinson in free agency.
Right. You don't need to go into that much. I mean, I'm just wanting to round it out.
No,
before
I got you.
Out.
So wide receiver is my number one target in free agency.
Right.
And then, actually, second?
Runner-up. Yeah.
Pass rusher. I would like to get a pass rusher in free agency. Okay. I've kind of pointed that out in videos that we need to get better on the edge. We have great interior pass rush. And if I could just pump you up, Jets fans, about anything about our team, we have Jonathan Franklin Myers, we have Foley Fatukasi, and we have Quinnen Williams on the inside. They are going to be pushing the interior offensive line back. Yep. We have dominant interior linemen. If we can get edge players to complement that offenses will be in a bad spot. So, wide receiver, edge rusher. If you have not liked this video, hit that like button.
Hit that like.
If you are new here, subscribe. We want you here every week.
Yeah. If you want to hear Chad talk about more Fitzpatrick BS, hit that subscribe button.
We just lost a bunch of subscribers.
2 positions. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going guard first and then wide receiver. I think that we all had moments, especially last season, where we looked around while we were watching the game, and I don't know if you guys throw the remotes or you throw the pillows or whatever.
Just my child.
Right.
Yeah. And I have a wrestling doll.
What were those things called? The buddies?
They're like I call them the action paction. I don't know.
But yeah, no, like and we said, and we're gonna get on this, but we said I want to go entirely O-line in the draft, like something crazy like that, because you just got so tired of looking at this turnstile offensive line.
We're talking about free agency, though.
Right. So in free agency, I'm going guard first.
Okay.
Then I'm going wide receiver.
Okay.
I like that. Offensive line, quarterback. I think if a quarterback lines up, because what you're saying is you're already okay.
This is me shaking my head.
Chat, I need you to back me up. I'm harnessing the power of the chat. if Deshaun Watson lines up,
he's not a free
oh,
agent.
no, I'm sorry. If Dak Prescott lines up, which I know it doesn't look that way,
It looks pretty slim, buddy.
or another quarterback lines up, then we would be foolish not to take that into consideration. And Chad, you were in the chat, so you know it opens up a whole new area of possibilities when it comes to filling the depth chart.
I don't like pipe dreams.
Well, some of us keep optimism around here. Some of us subscribe to negativity.
What was your first position? I apologize. I've been
Offensive line.
Okay,
I
so
agree with Chad.
O-line
I
and
agree with
quarterback.
Chad,
Okay,
yeah.
so if Dak Prescott becomes available, Mike prefers that we go after a Dak Prescott rather than drafting somebody or trading for
I know
somebody.
Chad doesn't agree with me on that, but I do think that when it comes to filling the depth chart, and if you go back to last week's video, I'm going to do a plug. You've been doing great with the plug. If you go back to last week's stream, one of the topics was prospects for the 2021 and 2022 season. And I said, me and John debated about the likelihood of us having a playoff run. I said, if you really want to go for a playoff, or return to a playoff presence in 2022, you need to fill the depth chart. And the best way to do that is by taking the quarterback out of the equation and using all the draft picks for other things. So that's
somebody new. Oh, Nate. Yeah, pipe dreams right here.
I love that, Nate.
Read that out loud right now.
All right, let's get to it. We got others in here. I gotta get to it. I gotta get to it.
Nate's a second. He's a repeat, right? He said last week. Nate, welcome back, buddy.
Nate and my sister are always on fire there. So we got some good comments here. We got some of these I read already, so I gotta think here. Joe Corsello, May needs to stay. He thanked NY for the other day. I think they're talking to each other.
Read it out loud, brother.
I know, but it seems
it's
like
okay. You just find one and read it.
I'm gonna go to this one because it's the easiest one that stands
Go
out.
for it.
Jonathan 122469. Welcome back again, brother. I love the show, guys. How about that? That's a cheers. Cheers to Jonathan.
Jonathan, we are so happy that you keep coming back, bro.
The first viewers, man. Don't think we ever look past that. Robbie Oak.
What did Jonathan say? You never read it.
No, he just says I love the show, guys.
Oh, gotcha. I'm sorry.
Jeez. Joe Carcello, guard, wide receiver. So guard is his first choice. Runner-up would be wide receiver.
That was Chad's preference.
Yeah. Yep, that was Chad. Then here's the comment that John was talking about. This is actually a different Nate's comment. Jets need a move tight end and a punter. So you talked about a kicker.
I think he's being facetious.
But you did talk about a kicker last week, so I just want to say that. I'm going to call you out.
We have a punter. Nate, shut your face. You're a Patriots fan.
Nate,
get
what are you doing? Let's see. I'm
not wrong about tight end.
Tight end, absolutely. I want Jonnu Smith.
Not to go off tape, but how long has it been?
I know. Forever.
We had who? What was it?
Dustin
Griffin?
Keller.
No, well, who did we sign?
Brian Griffin.
How do we feel about Dustin Keller?
We're not going to go down that rabbit hole.
But anyway, Nate says, pipe dreams turn the lips gray. So there you go.
Sure do.
That's the motto. That's our mantra.
Finish your thought about the tight end. I want to hear it.
Well, we were so... this franchise was so desperate for a tight end that could produce. Ryan Griffin catches like 5 balls. We hurry up and sign him.
Got really excited, yeah.
Right. We hurry up and sign him. We give him whatever it is for like a 3, 4, or 5 year contract. He does nothing the following season, and then God knows what happened to who were we all hoping was going to have a breakout year in 2020? And
Chris Herndon.
Chris Herndon, thank you. Now I'm blanking. Yeah. And where did he go?
You watch my baby or no? The first stream, I talk about the fact that I think Herndon was one of the biggest busts.
Right.
Where
did he go?
He may have been a bigger bust than Sam, actually, which is kind of crazy to think about. He completely
evaporated. You don't
say
that because of Sam's injuries.
No. Go ahead.
And again, just like this anomaly of an offense. You've got an NFL team in 2018, 2019, 2020 that's not even throwing to a tight end because they're just not there.
Yeah, they were ignoring the position, yeah.
And that's just indicative of a completely mismanaged roster. You can't have it. You got to have a tight end. I mean, go back to Dustin Keller. Go back to that one random year with Austin Seferi and Jenkins. And we know a great tight end when we see it.
Yep.
The problem is we're just not seeing it.
And here's the thing: we don't even need a great tight end. We just need somebody who is borderline average, who can produce at the tight end position. We don't even need elite.
Right.
I love elite, but we don't really even need elite because at this point we don't have even average play. We do need to move this along. We're going to go to topic 4. We might not even get to topic 5. Keep an eye on that chat. You're doing a great job.
There's some good comments here. I mean, J.J. Watt's coming into the mix.
Let me introduce the topic 4, and then you can finish up the chat. Is that okay?
All
right. So topic 4 and a chat. You need to listen because we want you to to participate. Topic 4. After watching Mahomes struggle in the Super Bowl, and we all define this man as probably the most talented quarterback since probably Aaron Rodgers when he first came out, and potentially of all time. He's just super, super talented. After seeing him struggle in the Super Bowl, should we adjust our stance on Sam Darnold, i.e., our offensive line and wide receiver positions? Should we supplement those positions before we even look to a quarterback? That is not my opinion. That's just a topic, a conversation in our podcast.
I've talked to you about this.
Hit the chat, and then we will talk about it.
So picking back up to where we were, I think I'm pinpointing on Jonathan 122469. What do you think about bringing J.J. Watt in for a year or 2 after the Texans release him?
Who said that?
That's Jonathan.
So Jonathan, I'm actually in favor of us signing a older veteran to come in who doesn't necessarily need to be a double-digit sack guy. Just somebody who can come in and be a relative consistent...
You know what that reminds me of? Jason Taylor.
Right.
That's
fair.
exactly what
That's
that
fair.
is.
That is fair. He was not a double-digit sack guy when he came to the Jets, but he was a relatively...
He did work.
Yeah, he was average, consistent pass rusher.
Work.
We have the interior rush. If we can just get average play at the edge for this year as we transition to a 4-3 defense, I think that's a smart move. I just don't know if J.J. Watt... I don't know if he's going to come in cheap necessarily. And I think there are other defensive ends that we can get that may be cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I like that. Jonathan just follows it up with we need someone who can get to the quarterback.
We do.
Robbie
It's our number two need on our entire team. I think you can put any other offensive need number 1. I think pass rush is number 2.
But in the 2 games that we won, there were sparks of talent who can do that
on
role.
defense.
Yeah,
not on the edge.
I mean, they were getting pressure.
Not on the edge. Go ahead.
Anyway,
it's all good.
I had a comment there that I wanted to follow up with. Robbie O comments on the Herndon discussion. Herndon got gassed, so he agrees that he was a major letdown.
Gaced.
Oh, he got gazed. My apologies. I didn't pick up on that. On that little quirk.
Yeah, Gase avoided the tight end even with Gesicki in Miami. They drafted Gesicki out of Penn State, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
And they just avoided him for whatever reason. He's very talented.
It's hard to know, but I mean, coming out of 19, our hopes were so high.
Yes.
For him, and then they just...
Sam had a connection.
Yeah, and then just completely... And he had the injury stuff, and then he just completely fell flat.
Yep. All right, go ahead. You're doing a great job. Keep going. I know this is hard on you.
Yeah, I'm trying to read through the different inner chatting conversations. I think moving through, Joe Corsello made some amazing throws. His wide receivers let him down. He was running for his life. We have a Super Bowl topic on that, so I'm going to try to skip past that real quick. Michelle Westandria, my no is for Sam. The O-line is struggling and weak, but Sam made some pretty bad mistakes on his own.
He did.
Joe Corsello, Sam misses reads, makes horrible decisions. I'm done with him. Regress badly, rookie mistakes. And I'm gonna say that this is another new viewer on the stream. So,
James.
I haven't recognized Jane Pietro. Thank you.
James, welcome to the live
chat.
stream.
Welcome, James, to the chat. Cheers to you.
Cheers, buddy.
Where's your drink?
We'll get you.
That's how much I drank.
Oh
we'll get you.
That's how much the team.
You now have to wear the box.
Yeah, I don't want to wear
it on that. No.
Jesus,
Read James's chat.
James says Sam was a number 3 pick for a reason. He was never coached under Gase, and had to run for his life. Build a wall. Chad, that's up me and yours, Allie. Build a wall and give him some weapons in an offense he was more familiar with. So obviously, run it back. James is saying run it back with the right firepower.
James, welcome to NYJ today. We're very, very happy you're here. If you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. We love that you're here. We look forward to talking to you tonight and moving forward.
Yeah.
Let's get to...
Should we get into it?
We need to get into it. The Sam Darnold discussion here. We saw Patrick Mahomes struggle with poor...
It's magic.
That was magic.
Oh my god.
We saw poor production from
too.
Patrick Mahomes. He had 0 touchdowns. He had 2 interceptions. He was like right around 50% completion rate for the whole game.
Yeah.
Does that motivate you at all to keep Sam? I have my opinion. I'm going to hold it. I'm not going first. I want to hear what you guys think on keeping Sam with the idea that Patrick Mahomes is human and does need protection and help from his receivers.
It does, and watching that the other night was a little bit eye-opening because as much as it's become elevated to a superstar sport, you tend to forget that it's still a team sport at the end of the day. A great defense is going to obliterate a quarterback. And it reminded me of the 2007 Patriots. We thought they were unbeatable. They come into the Super Bowl.
And he was getting hit.
Right, and just getting tortured.
Tuck, Pierre-Paul,
right,
all those boys.
Right, Strahan. So
Strahan, yep.
But yeah, and it does. The only difference is, and this is what the chat's going to point out, and I get it, Sam Darnold is no Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't make that one just mindless play every game, and you know, everybody in the chat, all of those guys, we know you got that one play every single week where you're like, why would you throw that?
Yep.
Why would you throw off your back foot into triple coverage? Why would you chuck it into triple coverage down the field like that? Why would you take a sack there? Why wouldn't you run out of bounds? That's what doesn't happen. But here's the question. If you build the wall, if you get an Allen Robinson, is he going to be successful? The answer is yes. But the question is, it's like magic.
God damn.
But the
It's
answer
happening.
The answer is yes. But the question is, to what degree will he be successful?
I have a really great wife. If you couldn't tell, she just keeps bringing us beers.
He really does.
Go ahead, Mike. I want to hear your Sam Darnold take. Chad's saying that it does kind of make him rethink it a little bit. But at the same time, though, we keep seeing Sam making mistakes with protection.
It's like you're building me into. You already know what my opinion is.
I'm just recapturing what he had said. Go ahead. What do you think?
It doesn't change my perspective on it. Unfortunately, I do think that obviously Sam didn't have the necessary firepower. I also recognize the fact that he didn't receive probably the right coaching that he should have, especially in his first few years in the NFL. But there's other things. There's other celestial bodies that play that have gravitational pull that will just not, even if you were to give him all the firepower in the world, I don't think Sam is in the position or is in the best interest of the Jets to continue to have him behind the center.
Give reasons. Go.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one big thing is that there's a lacking or a loss in trust in the fact of his abilities as well as in his decision making. I think you could say his decision making was poor regardless of the circumstances, and just giving, if you were to break down the play, there's some obvious things that you would actually see, you would actually expect more than a third-year quarterback that's in his contract as of right now. I also think that some of the throws that he makes, it's obviously he coming out of school, if I remember correctly, it was his ability to make the tough throws, particularly in some
off
highlights.
schedule too.
Oh, absolutely. And I personally don't see that talent that was portrayed to me and communicated to me coming out of the college highlight film. However, I do take that into account. We are talking about apples and oranges between highlight film and college versus obviously what we've seen in the NFL. That only compounded by the lack of talent that he has. And I think the number one biggest thing is the fact that I'll just say the biggest reason why I think we need to move on is for the fact that Robert Saleh is coming into the organization. Joe D, I feel like for this season more than last season, really has control of the talent roster and recruiting. And I think that if your point is correct in regards to who made the call, who Peyton Manning made the call to for this selection, then there's already a building somewhat perspective on Sam in terms of not on Sam, but just in terms of, Adam Gase's role and that, how does that portray or how does that shadow cast onto Sam? I just think that there's a lot of shadows that Sam is unfortunately living in. I think it would be best for him to move to a new organization to get a fresh start, and I do think it would be best for the Jets organization to start with a new person behind center.
So you're saying move on?
I'm saying move on.
And you're saying definitively we need to know, move on, or do you keep him? Because you suggested kind of a two-way street there.
Right. Well, because it's a variable situation. I mean, imagine getting Joe Thuney and then maybe drafting a Wyatt, and now the whole offense looks different. But then again, that's prognosticating if those moves happen.
Correct.
If you're asking me right now, what do they do? Not knowing what the future is, I do think they have.
I see Sam as a Trent Dilfer, and I don't think the NFL's progressed. It changes every season, and in my opinion, it gets more competitive every season. I don't think a team can win with a Trent Dilfer as it did in 2000.
You might be right. Yeah, it was 2000.
Yeah,
it was 2000.
Well, it's a different league now.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's not nearly as defensive.
I just think that the pressure on the quarterback position, and I'm not saying Sam is in this rut forever, but in the Jets organization, I do see him as a Trent Dilfer, and I just don't think the Jets are going to get out of the rut with that.
It's my turn.
Yes, it's your turn.
All right. Sam Darnold, everything that they said is true. We've seen highlights of him where he made throws with a clean pocket, receivers open, and you see him not pulling the trigger or missing. There are glaring concerns with his accuracy. There's glaring concerns with his pocket presence, being able to stand tall in the pocket and actually deliver a football.
Yep.
He's very shaky in the pocket.
Very much
His
so.
footwork gets sloppy. And his decision-making is absolutely concerning. The first game of the 2019 season, 20 season, sorry.
Yeah.
The first game of the 2020 season was against the Bills, and I remember this play very clearly because it was game one, and it automatically pissed me off and set me off for the rest of the season. Sam Darnold was out of the pocket. He was close to the sideline. He was behind the line of scrimmage, and he elected to run out of bounds for about a 3 or 4 yard loss versus the Bills instead of just easily just throwing it out of bounds. And that is a play that maybe you'd say, okay, he's a rookie. He doesn't know the game quite yet. He doesn't understand the situation quite yet. Because it wasn't third down, and even if it was, you still don't make that play.
Right.
Because you're losing yards. As a third-year quarterback, no excuse. That play is absolute horseshit.
Yeah.
You do not make that play. You throw that ball out of bounds. You save yourself field position. You save yourself for the next play. It's ridiculous to think that a third-year quarterback wouldn't understand to throw the ball out of bounds when you're clearly out of the pocket. When you have the sideline, you can just throw it to the line of, to the line of scrimmage and move on to the next play. And he did not do that, and he did that twice during the season. He did it against the Bills, and I can't recall which game he did it again, but I know he did it twice. So the decision-making is the problem here. It's not his ability. It's not his accuracy. I do think that he could be better, but he has proven that he can complete over 60% of his passes, and I'm sure with better supporting casts, he'd be right around that 62 to 65% completion rate, which is about where you want to be. 65% is kind of like that median, I would say.
Right.
It's more about the decision-making and him not learning and understanding the game. You can blame Adam Gase all you want. He needs to take ownership in those decisions himself. Right. A quarterback has to study. Peyton Manning, he was a fantastic quarterback. Right. One of my favorites of all time, probably my favorite quarterback to watch, because he studied the game and he knew the game so well. And he didn't have the greatest head coaches. No. Jim Mora was his head coach at one point. Right. And we cannot sit here and say that Jim Mora is a great head coach.
Right.
So Adam Gase sucked. We get it.
Right.
Adam Gase sucks. He's a franchise destroyer, And I agree that he hurt Sam Darnold. But a lot of this has to fall back on Sam Darnold.
Correct.
Because he has to have ownership in his own maturation and development.
Who's going to give it to you?
He needs to study.
Right.
Every quarterback. They all have to study.
Yep.
And if you study film and if you study your own tape, which they, God almighty, they should be doing that all the time, how is he not understanding that situation?
Right. Well, I 100% agree.
So, I don't hate Sam Darnold. He has ability, and I do think that with a better supporting cast, he would play better. The only way that I'm comfortable with that decision is if Joe Douglas makes that decision, and we all know he makes that decision. I just don't see him making that decision. I think Joe Douglas will trade Sam Darnold. The rumor right now is a late first or a early second round pick. Mm-hmm. I'm taking that all day.
Yeah.
And I'm taking that and I'm building it, using that pick to either benefit a Deshaun Watson, which I don't know if it's likely anymore that we do that, or you're supplementing that for a Justin Fields or a Zach Wilson.
Right.
Or even a Trey Lance. People aren't talking about Trey Lance.
No, that's a good one.
Do have a video coming out these next 4 days. Trey Lance is on my next 4 days. He's going to be released. I did a breakdown of Trey Lance. He shows a ton of potential. He came from the same school as Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
If Joe Douglas believes in one of these three quarterbacks, trade Sam Darnold, get what you can. Because even if we keep him, who's to say if he has a bad game that he's not going to wither?
Oh, yeah.
And he's not going to be seeing ghosts.
Or
I know we all talk
prone.
about
or
seeing
his injury
ghosts.
proneness.
Right, his injury press. He's never played a full season.
Right.
Right, yeah. I don't think he's played more than
3
12
years.
games.
I think it's like 12 to 13 games,
Yeah.
yeah. So I am moving on from Sam Darnold. It sounds like we are all in agreement that we need to move on from Sam Darnold. Can you go ahead and hit the chat?
Yeah, we got a lot of chats.
While you're hitting the chat, I have got to piss, and then we will talk about the Super Bowl.
All right. You got it? Yeah. All right. I'm going to hit this, Chad. I personally would move on from Darnold. I would try to trade him, get the second round pick for him. You can address the line and free agency. So, straight fire. We're with you. I agree with you 100%. Chad, I think you do as well.
Yeah.
Robbie Oak, Alabama has 3 offensive linemen this year. And they all look good. I think that's an internal chat. Michelle Masandria, my notes for Sam. I think I read that already. That looks familiar. I'm going to skip down a little bit. Robbie Oaks Ghost. We got Ghost delivering beer. Yeah, we got a good ghost that hovers around the door. So, the Ghost, you know who you are. Big thank you to you. Let's see here, Chad. What we got? Sam needs a change in scenery. Nate, agree with you, man. I think it's best for him. I think it's best for the Jets. Jason says, put the '80s Redskins offensive line in front on Sam. He's still not a smart QB with the ball. Get rid of him. I agree with you. I think we're all on the same page, chat. We're all feeling the same vibe, right? Sam can go to the CFL. He still would be just an average quarterback there. Man, chat's ruthless right now to Sam Darnold, but I get it. There was a lot of lost hopes and a lot of sad tears going on there. Joe Corsello, it's true the Jets ruined his pocket presence and his eyes, but
I got
Sam...
something else I want to talk about Sam Darnold.
I mean, chat's tearing him up right now. Sam has always been a turnover-prone QB. And made iffy decisions.
Yes, so that's exactly what I was going to talk about, and I thought about it while I was peeing. Sam Darnold is what he was in college. He turned the ball over in college. He fumbled, He threw picks.
Yep.
It's the gunslinger thing.
Yeah,
and
but it's not, though.
Yeah, I was going to say
And the problem is the gunslinger thing, it only works when you're producing.
When you're making big plays.
Yeah, and if you're not, then you're a Jameis Winston.
Yep, or Mark Sanchez.
I didn't like this comment though. I'm gonna jump in because Robbie, I believe in this comment. I hope our QB situation is set before we have to choose between Sam or Zach Wilson. I like that. I think that comment is deeper than you think it is because that is a very tough situation to be in. Joe Corsello, his deep ball accuracy is a major issue. I'm talking about Sam as well as because his footwork is god awful. Hits on John's point. Jason Jason's tearing Sam up.
You got to.
Hey, Joe, I think we just got a bit on how they overhyped him. I think there was some overhype on Sam Darnold. You can't say
Jets
otherwise.
did that themselves.
Yeah, Jets definitely did that. Jason, that's a great point. I think I see another new viewer, Grant Rude. I don't remember seeing Grant. Is Grant?
Grant Rude has been hitting me on Twitter and on the videos. He's been commenting. Grant Rude,
Grant,
welcome. Thank you so much for coming for the
big
stream.
cheers to Grant. Chat, welcome, Grant. Grant, if you haven't already, please subscribe, man. We'd love to have you back.
He's a subscriber.
Oh, he's a subscriber. Grant.
Yep, I've been talking to Grant all week.
Good to have you, man.
What did Grant say?
Sam's arm mechanics and footwork have gotten worse as well.
Yep.
Him and Josh Allen went to the same guy in the offseason, and first QB improved, and the other
Jordan Palmer
traded.
Yep, exactly.
That's a great point, actually. Robbie O, can we trade Sam and for the number 34 to San Francisco for the number 12?
San Francisco is interested. I think that Indianapolis would be interested in Sam Darnold. I still cannot fathom that a team's going to want to give up a first-round pick for him.
I can't either. But I think I've been thinking this, and I got to give my dad credit for this, but he's the one who said Pittsburgh. I don't know.
I don't think they're interested.
Nah,
I for whatever reason I see Pittsburgh being as a great landing spot.
Great fit for him. Yes.
Yeah. And I was going to say Indianapolis and potentially San Francisco.
I'd definitely say Indy.
Let me ask you this question though, just yes or no. Do you think they know internally today what's going to happen with Sam?
I'll go first. Yes.
Okay.
They already know?
I think Robert knew as soon as he was coming in.
He's gone.
I definitely think so. I don't think Robert doesn't strike me as a guy. I don't know him that
You're talking about Robert Saleh.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously Joe's going to brief and ramp up Robert based on what he thinks, I would imagine.
You're saying this so beautifully. Keep going.
You're
doing a great job. Keep going.
It's just flowing.
You're doing great.
Like molasses.
Go.
But I definitely think that there was a series of conversations either before the hiring of Robert Saleh or immediately after.
No, before. They talked about him a ton, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean, I didn't want to put myself out there, but
no, I'm agreeing.
I think that there was a host of conversations that was convincing for Robert Saleh to take the position, and I think he said, "I'm coming in, Joe, be prepared for me to make some serious changes because we planned against Sam Darnold, and I know exactly what his weaknesses are, and I think I need to go in a new direction. So I'm going to say yes. I think that his fate is already sealed, and we don't know it."
Okay, I think that. I think that they view Sam as like kind of a last resort. I think that they will roll into the season with him, but I don't think that is not their number one. Yeah. That is not their number one. It was a good choice. Yeah, a good topic. Excuse me. Anything more?
Yeah,
I don't want to keep going to it because we can always go back to it. I just want to get to our last topic. We are doing a great job.
Jason says I would be happy if someone gives me a late third round.
So I don't actually think that's funny. Jason Rhodes, I had said that in one of my videos. I said that I would not be surprised if Sam was traded for a third round pick, and I actually still can't believe that somebody wants him for more than a third round pick. He showed bad he played bad football. Really, really bad football. You can say what you want about Sam. He played bad quarterback. Played the position poorly last year, really badly.
I messed up. Jason has been tearing up the chat, particularly on the Sam Darnold conversation. And Jason, for whatever reason, I thought you were a recurring viewer. I thought I'd seen you in the past, but I'm a new subscriber tonight, guys. Welcome, Jason.
Jason!
Big cheers to Jason, man. Hey, big chat. Help me welcome Jason.
So subscribers, if you didn't know this, we are at 198 right now. We are so close to 200. I consider that probably easily our biggest benchmark, obviously, because we haven't gotten to it yet. But it's a huge benchmark. If you have any family or any Jets fans that are out there, please tell them to come check us out. We are in it for the long haul.
Or if you got two devices, use the other device, use the other account, put it on there. What do you care?
Keep going. All right, well, we'll go.
We're up to speed. We're up to date.
Perfect. All right, this is our final topic of the night. It probably won't be as long as our other topics. This is just a recapping of the Super Bowl. We're just looking for general takeaways. You can
I'm not worthy.
You can recap your predictions if you made predictions before the Super Bowl.
Let's talk about our predictions.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Oh, no, you don't want me to. Okay.
You go first.
So I predicted 34-27 Chiefs. I was off on the score. I was off on obviously who would win the Super Bowl. If you had told me that the Bucs won the Super Bowl prior to the Super Bowl, I would not have been.
I did.
I would not have been supremely surprised if you had told me the Bucs had won. But the way that they won the game was very shocking. They dominated the line of scrimmage on defense. We already kind of hinted at that.
Why did the Chiefs stop running the ball?
So the reason why the Chiefs didn't run the ball as much as they should have early was because the Bucs have the number 1 run defense in the NFL last year.
True, but you gotta. The only way that Kansas City offense works is if you are
balanced. They're not really a balanced offense.
Well, when you're running cover 2 the entire game, which is what Tampa Bay did.
I don't know.
The only way you break cover 2 is when you run the ball.
It's easy to say in hindsight they weren't running the ball successfully in the game. I don't think that was the factor in the game. I think that like we kind of already suggested, the Chiefs lost their starting left tackle earlier before the season. I can't remember which. They definitely lost their right tackle Eric Fisher in the championship round, and I think that was obviously the end of their chances in this game. They could not protect the edges.
I feel bad for the Chiefs for the fact that they obviously, in our hearts, prayers, thoughts go out
with
to
Andy Reid, yeah.
Go out to the individuals and victims involved in that crash. I'm sure everyone's read different media outlets and seen different reports on what actually transpired, but needless to say, there are victims right now fighting for their lives out there, and NYJ today, and thoughts and prayers go out to them. And so I feel bad for the Chiefs because there was an immense amount of distraction and unfortunate actions and things to be that unfortunately I don't know how you focus on the game. I mean, obviously it's the Super Bowl.
It's hard to quantify how that impacted the game.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, and we'll never know. We'll never know. But I do think that I thought it was blatantly obvious that that they did not go along with their normal play calling that you usually see from the Chiefs. Now,
it felt off.
It felt off to me. I think that's the best way to say it. That combined with the Tampa Bay, the defense that shocked me. I mean, you would have thought it was. I think everyone's seen the same videos, read the same articles where Tampa Bay coming into the end of the 2019 season, that defense did start to come on, and so there was a thought that defense would be a top 10 defense coming into the 2020 season. But I would say I never rated Tampa Bay that high in terms of their consistency on defense, and sure enough, and I'm going to say my score was 24-17, that I thought it was going to be a lower scoring game. It was low. I would say relatively low scoring. Chiefs did score less, and I said one of the defenses was going to come out. I think you even said that though, so I don't want to exclude you from that, from John. But I said one of the defenses is going to show up and one's not, and we saw that very clearly on which defense showed up that day. Mm-hmm. I do agree. I think it was Joe Corso and maybe some other comments, which was the receivers on Kansas City definitely let down.
They definitely did.
Particularly Kelsey, in my opinion. I saw some.
He dropped one.
I thought there was 2 major drops by Kelsey, blatantly drops.
One specifically I can think of, yes.
One was for a first down on a third down, I believe.
Yep.
Obviously Tyreek Hill, I think could have got his hands on one, if I remember correctly.
There was another one in the end zone. I think it may have been to Robinson.
Right.
To Marcus Robinson.
Correct.
I think it's the same.
And unfortunately, the Kansas City defense was invisible. I think at that point, I think you know Tom Brady. He loves his play action, and he loves Gronk.
That's the only thing I got in my prediction right. I had said on our third episode, I had said that if the Chiefs do not get any pressure on him, that's going to be a problem, and I said that Brady would have a good game if they didn't. And they didn't really hit him. Yeah. They didn't hit Brady. Do you remember him getting on the ground?
No, he danced to the left, he danced to the right, and it was touchdown either way.
Yep.
So my prediction obviously wasn't on the money, and I was somewhat okay with that.
You did better than me?
Because if I would have hit it on the money, Chad, I would have been hitting my head against the wall because I should have bet on it. But I was pretty confident that I had a feeling that one of the teams wasn't going to show up, particularly on defense, and that was something that I was kind of taken away from that game.
Did you have any thoughts prior to the Super Bowl? Because you weren't on the show last week, but you can obviously share what
I had said it felt like a 42-17 game. Couldn't have been more wrong.
Right.
To me,
a lot of people in the chat in our episode 3 said the same thing.
I think like 3 of us had oddly mentioned 42 for the Chiefs, and yeah, we were all wrong on that, and I'm sure we weren't alone on that. But no, it kind of reminded me of the 2015 Super Bowl with the Broncos, where even in an offensive-driven league, I still think a unbelievable defense firing on all cylinders is going to shut down as great of an offense as you're going to see, and that's what we saw on Sunday. It was a defensive performance from everybody across the front seven, Shaq Barrett especially.
JPP too.
Yeah, and they were just. You saw Mahomes in a way that you haven't seen him in his career.
Yeah, no, I've never seen him play like that.
Never. I mean, going back to college and high school.
Some bad games.
I mean,
not like that.
Nothing like that.
No, nothing like that. You can go any stats you want.
Those interceptions I normally put on him.
Huh?
The interceptions.
To forget about the interception, you could erase those from the game stats. It still isn't a game that we've ever seen from him.
As far as being on the run?
Anything. Everything. Everything about his game in the Super Bowl, we've never seen that from Pat Mahomes. He's never lost a game from like double digits in his career.
And it's
ever.
It's not going to be remembered, obviously, because they lost the game. But I actually walked away from that game with more respect for Patrick Mahomes and some of the just absurd throws that he made.
Oh my God!
Falling
the
to
one
his
on
knees.
his side is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and the guy, I mean, he was obviously injured, and he's just playing his guts out, and it was awesome to watch. That's what you like about sports.
He played with turf toe.
Yeah,
yeah.
So he had surgery today.
I saw on Twitter. It was an Inside the NFL video clip where they do all those sideline sound bites, and they had Mike Evans of the Bucks and Chris Godwin on the sideline, and they were both just reacting to Mahomes. And we all know the game was a blowout, but they were reacting to his ridiculousness as far as his raw ability as a quarterback. They said they were using the word magician.
Yeah.
The things that he was doing on those, it was 2 specific throws. I think one was where he was throwing to his right, and then the one where he was on his side. There's a ridiculous picture of him online where he's just like completely parallel to the ground. And he throws the ball literally right in the face of the receiver doing this. It's just like unbelievable. Yeah. Grant Rood pointed it out, and I did mention it in my recap of the game. The offensive tackles being out of the game, without question, impacted the Chiefs. It changed the game. It changed the way they played offense dramatically.
Yeah.
Why don't you go to the chat?
We got chat. Brady. Jason says Brady is the GOAT for a reason, like it or not.
Who said this?
Jason Rhodes.
Jason, it's without a doubt. We hate him. We hate his guts.
There's no way, in my opinion,
doubt.
that Peyton's still in that discussion. I think Brady has it, and especially if he runs it back again, I still,
he's got 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. He's got more than Steelers have, the entire franchise. How about that? Straight fire. I just can't believe the game plan Todd Bowles implemented. They shut down that potent offense. Hey, where the hell was Todd Bowles when he was with the Jets?
Yeah, really.
Well, so there's a difference, and that's a whole other topic. But
should we save it? Should we save it for the next year?
No. I mean, it's not really a full segment.
All right.
Todd Bowles is, in my opinion, you can disagree with me if you do,
a coordinator.
He is a fantastic and great defensive coordinator, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I talked about it on Twitter a lot throughout the week after the Super Bowl. I feel like all the time we see these people who are offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, who were head coaches. They deserve a second chance. Mm-hmm. Of course, you could make the argument that he deserves a second chance, and I'm not saying that he doesn't. But what's so wrong with him being so good at his job? He clearly kicked ass in that Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
He kicked ass. Absolutely. And he schemed it up so beautifully. There was one play I remember where he had drawn, it was 2 cornerback blitzes. He had 2 cornerbacks blitzing on the same play. But the scheme, and they showed the whole field, and the coverage was perfect.
Right. So
he has everything drawn up just perfectly on defense.
Right.
And I think Todd Bowles, the only thing we can really knock on him is he wasn't really a great head coach. Mm-hmm. And I still feel that to be true today. I don't think that if you give Todd Bowles another head coaching job, that he's going to be guaranteed to be successful. So That's just how I view it. And again, it compliments to Todd Bowles, and I'm happy for Todd Bowles. He's he is a good dude. He's not a bad man at all.
Robbie Oak says every year it's offense, but almost every year defense still wins championships. There you go. Chad agrees with you 100%. Jason Rhodes, defense and a running game, guys, 90% wins every year.
And that's a fair argument this year because the Chiefs were the big offense, and the Bucs didn't really do anything super spectacular on offense. They were just efficient and consistent, no turnovers, that sort of thing.
Joe Corsello says, did you see how many times Kelsey fell down in the Super Bowl? Dude needs better cleats. I agree with that. He was on the ground all the time.
And a better haircut.
His
haircut's weird.
Robbie O, Chad, spot on. So there he is. There's your buddy. Grant Reard, Mahomes had turf toe. We talked about that.
I don't think that's an excuse, though, because even Patrick Mahomes after the Super Bowl, he said, I played good in the championship round. He said, "Let's not make excuses." Basically, like we can't say 1 week I was okay and then the next week I was hurting.
Yeah, and again, there's obviously comments feeding into other comments as far as good points. So J.C. Rhodes agrees with me. They ran the ball 9 times, and
the Chiefs.
Yeah, and when the Bucs were running cover 2 90% of the game, you're not going to break that. You're not going to break that cover 2 by continuing to throw the ball. However, the tackles being out was probably a big part of that.
I think that was the biggest factor in the game. It killed them. They had no momentum on offense.
Todd Bowles, Jason says Todd Bowles' game plan was target the tackles, put the pressure on. That's exactly what they did. Let's see, just wait.
So I'm not interrupting you. Just a quick thing. If you are in this chat right now and you know you've been chatting throughout. If you could just email me, I'm going to give everybody in this chat tonight a free Jets koozie. Can you hand me the one right above you?
There it is.
So, my email is nyjtoday@gmail.com. I know that's hard to believe, but nyjtoday@gmail.com. If you email me straight fire, you could please post in the chat. Yours is on the way. I would love to send all of you a free koozie.
Get yourself a koozie and cheers with us. That's what that whole thing is about.
So I have like 10 koozies, and everybody in here has been active tonight and commenting. We really, really appreciate you guys. Every week we do this, it keeps getting bigger and bigger, and we cannot thank you enough. We love doing this. We love talking Jets. So yeah, email me, nyjtoday@gmail.com. If you're still in the chat, email me. Let me know you want a koozie, and then I will email you back, and you can give me your name and your mailing address, and the koozie will be on its way.
You want to hear a comment?
Sure.
This is from Robbie O. Bowles is the next Wade Phillips. Great defensive coordinator.
Exactly.
But no.
Exactly.
Head coach, no bueno.
And I didn't have a good comp for that, and I apologize. Robbie Oak has it. That is the perfect comparison.
Yeah.
Wade Phillips. Great defensive coordinator.
I think Wade had some playoff runs, if I remember correctly.
As a head coach?
With Dallas?
He was with Dallas. I don't think he did shit with Dallas.
I thought he had one season postseason.
No.
Was he the head coach with the Tony Romo?
Tony Romo's last year.
Yeah.
They didn't do anything. And here's the thing. Maybe Wade Phillips would have been good if he had had a better team. But that's not the point.
Well,
he didn't do anything with his head coach opportunity, just like Todd Bowles didn't do anything with his opportunity.
Who was the head coach when Tony's first season? Because Tony went to
Bill Parcells.
Oh, that's
it
right.
was Bill Parcells.
That's right. Straight Fire says, thanks so much, John, or NYJ Today. Absolutely. We hope you guys email us.
Yeah, no, I have the email on my phone, guys. So if you send out an email that you want a koozie... I already got an email.
There it is, Straight Fire?
No, it was somebody else, but it doesn't matter. Send an email to nyjtoday@gmail.com. You will get your koozie in the mail. I promise you. Straight Fires is on the way. Again, we really do appreciate the support. Please do check out the videos that are coming out starting tomorrow afternoon. Chat, if you want to hit any other quick topics, we got about 5 more minutes here. If you have a quick topic you want to discuss, throw it at us, and we will end the stream with that.
How do you spell koozie?
Koozie.
Right, that's what I thought.
I had to Google it because my brother was spelling it Coozy, I think.
I'm putting the email address in the chat.
Yeah, that's nice of you. Yeah, but they nyjtoday@gmail.com.
Let's see. Grant Rear is the chat screen up so you guys can see it better. I think the vid would look better without it.
Grant Root, I appreciate that. So I guess for our viewers out there, we want you to be able to see the chat in the video after the stream is live. So this video is going to be on our YouTube channel, and we want our viewers to see that we're interacting with the chat, and we want our viewers to see that you guys are a part of the conversation. And so right now that's the idea, is that we have the chat pulled up so that it proves that we are interacting with you guys. Eventually, I would like to do it so that we just have one comment up at a time. We are only in our 4th week of
We have some big ideas.
YouTube channel. So we're still developing those ideas.
Yes.
I do appreciate your idea, Grant. It does not offend me at all.
No.
I appreciate it. And again, it's everything that we do is mindful, and we do appreciate your feedback. So if you have ideas to improve the channel,
let's hear it.
Send them on over. We're all yours. What were you going to say?
Joe Corsello was peace and nice. Thanks, guys. Great show. Have to run later. But we talk about it all the time. You know, actually, the three of us were just talking about how, you know, hobbies, how much time we have for hobbies, and really it's just one hobby is really what we have, and we're trying to put our attention into the channel and really just to kind of make a better experience for us as well as for you all. And you know, there's some things on the horizon that John and I have talked about. We're really excited about. There's some upcoming stream ideas that we've talked about that we're really excited about. So, you know, that some of that's a direct reflection on some of the criticisms and feedback that we've gotten. And we know we're not perfect. We're no professionals, as well as we've said many times. We're not experts in the NFL organizations. But
it's been 4 weeks.
Right.
We're still working on it.
But we're just having a good time doing it. And if we can do something different that makes it better for you, it probably makes it better for us at the same time. So, you know, don't hold back. That's those are things we'd love to hear.
I am getting your emails, just as a heads up. I've already gotten 2 emails. Guys, definitely keep them in. Like, keep sending them in. If you've been in the chat, email me. I've gotten 2 emails since I said to email me.
Get your koozies.
Get your Jets koozies, boys. All right. End the evening with a Jets chant.
Let's end it.
Raise the glass, baby.
Thank you, chat, for a great night.
Thank you. Yeah, we
you
had
guys
a
are
great time.
amazing. Here we go.
J-E-T-S.